Hello, Salt and Light Groups. My name is Dave Heisinger. I'm a pastor of Bridgewood Church and president of Empowerment Institute, and I'm part of Nehemiah Reset. And I'd like you to just join with me for a moment, and I'd like to explain to you something that the Bible presents to us that will be very, very helpful in how Christians can stand against a non-biblical worldview out in our world today, a modern worldview. Because if it isn't a biblical worldview, there is a force behind, a power behind a modern worldview that really comes at us. And we experience pressure from social media and from the mainstream media. And we deal with the reality of words coming at us from legislators and from politicians. And those words contradict who we are as Christians. And how do we deal with it? I would like to just explain for a few minutes the evil mode of operation. It starts in the Garden of Eden, and it starts with the word flattery. And this is what the devil did when he came into the Garden of Eden, and he spoke to Eve, and he said, if you eat of the fruit, you will become like God yourself. He flattered them to think that God was afraid of them somehow, and that he was lying to them, and that if they ate of the fruit, they would become like gods. He questioned the authority of God, and he got Eve and Adam to believe that they perhaps could be gods themselves. And he flattered them. And when Eve and Adam then gave that place of favor to his flattery, then he had a place from which he could exert control into their lives. And from that place of control, he began to manipulate. And then this vicious circle happened called sin, a dance with the devil, accepting his place of favor, then giving him over an establishment of control, whereas he has the power to manipulate. All because Adam and Eve gave favor to the flattery from evil. This evil mode of operation finds itself in our world today, except it doesn't just stop with flattery. When flattery doesn't work, it moves to intimidation. When intimidation doesn't work, it moves to slander. When slander doesn't work, it moves to threats. When threats doesn't work, it moves to rage. And when rage runs its course, it's over, right? It's death. We see this evil mode showing itself in the Bible, and Queen Jezebel of the nation of Israel using flattery to get what she wants from her husband, King Ahab. And then slander, threats, rage, and then finally she dies. Her own eunuchs throw her off the city walls. We see this in the book of Nehemiah, which is what Nehemiah Reset, establishing it as a foundation of its work here in Minnesota. We see Nehemiah rebuilding the walls, but there were governors in the area around Jerusalem. The names were Sanballat and Tobias, and they used flattery to get the nation to the world, the people around the city of Jerusalem, to conspire against Jerusalem, right? And so they earned their place of control by which they could manipulate those people. And when Nehemiah came to rebuild the walls, they used intimidation then against the people. They called them, in Nehemiah 4, they called them feeble Jews. They used slander. They said, your wall isn't even going to be able to hold a fox. Then they used threats when that didn't work. We're going to come and kill you. And then they used rage, and they threatened to come and wipe out everybody in Jerusalem. But in Nehemiah 4, verse 9, we read that Nehemiah and the people did not fall prey to this flattery, intimidation, slander, threats, rage at all. They prayed to God, and then they did their work, ready for battle, and also building at the same time. Salt and Light Groups, I encourage you to say no. No to flattery. No to intimidation. No to slander, no to threats, no to rage. And wait for God to end this battle of yours. I know it comes at you in social media. I know it comes at you when you take a biblical stand, when you stand against all that comes against biblical morality. I know it comes at you when when you stand against legislation toward late-term abortion and legislation that wants to bring sex education and pornography in those books directly into young elementary age children. But you need to stand. And how do you do it? Well, you do it with the love and the authority of Jesus Christ that is given you in a biblical worldview. You stand and you smile and you say no. In the love of Christ, you stand on the truth. You don't have to be afraid of truth. You stand on a truth that is absolute and you say no. People from a evil mode of operation, they don't have the security of the truth you have, so that they need to prove their truth. You don't need to prove yours. Yours is true forever by the word of God. You just say no. No to the flattery. Don't fall prey to being called compassionate so that you will change your morality and change how you read the Bible. Don't do that. Be a salt and a light for the truth of God. Say no to intimidation. Say no to the slander with a smile. No to threats. No to rage, and watch it end. Because it always will. And the Bible gives it very clear that God accomplishes the purpose by which he sends his word. Salt and Light Groups, God bless you. Stand in a biblical worldview.